Jose Maria, I want to talk to you about your position as artistic director of Opera Santa Barbara and what that entails, and also if we could talk about how you make choices about who you choose to fill the roster here when you're doing productions with an opera company at this particular level, so that younger singers have some idea of, what to do, where to go, what to look
Somebody
for.
was asking me this question the other day, and I realized that, we audition like any composer for a role, specific for a role that I'm looking to cast. I hear recommendations from people like you. You suggested a couple of people that I should pay attention to. But in the end, it usually comes to a gut feeling. I need to be engaged myself.
Emotionally, are you talking about?
Yeah, because if I get too technical, of course I get technical, but if it gets too technical, then I start distancing myself, and I lose track of what the regular patron will experience, which is sort of a full performance. There's wonderful singers out there that don't move me, and there's singers that are not that polished that I find them quite interesting to watch. So of course all of our singers are wonderful singers, but the difference usually is somebody that is sort of a rounded artist, a good performer, good actor. We need also people that, for our level of company, which is very small, we don't have the support that you would find in the bigger companies.
Okay.
So we need people that are flexible in terms of.
Everybody paying attention out there?
Well, also, like, for example, our housing. Just a practical example that is a major decisive factor for us. That it's one of the most expensive housing markets in the country, Santa Barbara.
Yes.
And our options would be to put somebody at a motel, or host them with some of our wonderful donors that have fantastic housing. So it's hosted housing, and when our singers, are housed with our donors, they're usually pretty blown away by the places.
I'm sure they are. I'm sure they are.
But that also requires that a little flexibility, and it's usually private. But you're a guest of a family. You're a guest of somebody that cares for a company. So we it's a different.
You're
range.
kind of killing two birds with one stone in a lot of ways.
Oh, yeah.
You're creating relationships is what you're doing within the community as well. Yeah.
That's crucial for me, and those relationships too are between the singers and the company as well. For example, the cast of Orfeo we have 3 singers. We have Leda Chenacas, who's somebody who sang for us many times before.
Yeah,
beautiful singer. That I said it's time to bring her back. She's done a lot for us. It's time to bring her back in a new role she's never done. So that was the idea behind Lena's casting. Aside that she's perfect for the role, and she is doing a great job.
Yes.
She has a history and a relationship with the company. Another artist is Angela Cadelago, who was a studio artist with us, a small training program that is actually quite fluid. It changes every year according to what we need. She was a studio.
So are we talking about apprentice program here?
Yeah.
You have an apprentice program here. Great.
Yeah, so Angela was a studio artist 2 years ago, and I always wanted to bring her back in a role.
Yes.
And she's doing Amore.
Fabulous.
Fabulous.
Part.
And then the other singer, Marley Breckenridge, she has never sang with us before, but I knew her from, a decade ago, and I thought that she would be perfect for it is. So she's new to us. So it's a little bit of everything.
Okay. Another question for you that's aside from this is you mentioned at the beginning that it was important to have that emotional connection with a singer when they're singing. Do you have any little pearls of wisdom or ideas that you could maybe talk about that would help younger singers understand how to get to that point? Because I know when you were in Colorado doing Florencia, you talked with the apprentices there, and you talked a little bit about that, and I was just blown away by that, because I think that that's something so many singers forget about. They just keep wanting to work on their voice and they don't understand that there's a...
Well, I mean, they gotta tell a story. And that story could be the story of the opera, or it could be the story of the opera through the lens of the character, or the story of the opera through the lens of the character as the performer sees it. You know, like this piece, Orfeo. My personal appreciation of the piece has changed throughout the years as I myself encountered loss and grief, just like Orfeo does in the story.
Yes.
So of course, it would be almost. You can hear the singer.
Yes, we can.
It would be almost sort of unnatural, not that my perception would have changed, because I have had those experiences. I have lost people very close to me,
Yes.
and I have been in the place of grief, like Orfeo is in Act 1. So I bring all of that to me, and I think a singer should do the same. You know, they should find out.
So you're saying that when they're doing whatever whatever role they're working on, that they need to start looking within themselves for emotions that might not have exactly the same story with them, but have created an emotion of sadness or joy or whatever, and then try putting that in the piece themselves.
Yeah, and if that doesn't work, that's sort of the method actors system. You know, the other way is to just try to see the world through the eyes of the character. For example, if you're singing Fior di Ligi,
Yes.
right? And Così is such a difficult opera to
Yes.
really get it right, because it's all about ambivalence and
Yes.
the conflicts in our heart, that we can be absolutely in love with somebody and at the same time sometimes have doubts. Or so just do a little exercise of how would Fior di Ligi see the world. What would, if she were to be describing her world in the world of the opera or in the world of the particular production, if the singer's engaged to good production, how would she see that world? What would she say?
Yes.
What would she think about? Why does she sing Come Scoli? Why is it so important for her to teach a lesson about being a rock, as opposed to just
Being her sister.
Exactly.
Yeah.
What turns her on?
Yes.
Why
Yes.
does she create the circumstances for the aria to happen? Create the circumstances for whatever expression of anything, musical or vocal or verbal. Ask the question, why is that happening? And nobody should step on stage having a reason to say whatever they're going to say,
Yes.
even if it's
I agree.
rather pedestrian.
Yeah. One of the things that you also said is you asked a question, what does this mean to me? I believe that's what it was in all the recitatives that you were talking with somebody who had just done the Figaro aria, the young
In Denver?
baritone. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And you said, you gave him, okay, why am I saying it? What does this mean?
Oh, but of course, yeah.
And that was very surprising to him, because he had never, what he was saying and the music and what did it mean to him were three different things.
Yeah.
And so that was an aha moment for him. I could see that.
You can never go. What I usually find sometimes with the other singers, that they do the translation, they have the Nico Castell translation,
Yes.
but it sort of stays at that level.
Exactly.
You can continue asking questions.
Yes.
And I think we were talking, it was the recitative before the
Yes,
Count's aria,
yes, exactly.
which is Ai già vinta la causa, that
Si.
one. It's that recital has so many gears to it.
Yes,
and
it
just
does.
keeps changing. In one line, he's in complete control of his power. In another one, he feels he's losing it. In another one, he pulls what I call the count card, where he, sounds like he's going to abuse his power.
Yes.
In another one, he
Yeah.
tries to pull back and say, wait. He's like, talk. All of those things, if you really look at, again, if you put that singer were to put himself in how is the Count seeing the world that day? How is the Count seeing that particular moment?
Yes.
What is he seeing? What is threatening him? What does he have to lose? What does he have to gain?
Yes.
For each thing he says.
Yes.
For each action, quote unquote.
Yes.
He wants Susanna. Okay, we know that.
Sure.
But what does he have to gain? very easy to answer that question.
Yes.
What does he have to lose
Yes.
if he gains Susanna? That gets a little more interesting. Anybody can answer what does the Count want. Anybody can answer he wants Susanna.
Yes.
And anybody can answer what he can gain by getting Susanna.
Uh-huh.
But when you start asking what does he have to lose,
Yes.
that's when it gets interesting. What would he lose? you
Yes, 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 yes.
know?
Yeah.
Prestige. He would lose
Friendship.
of the Count. Yeah,
A lot of
exactly.
friendship.
Yeah, maybe self-respect too.
Yes, definitely.
I mean,
self-respect.
and that's when it gets interesting. When,
Yeah.
when you really, each moment of your whatever the story is, what is at stake? You know, what do you have to lose and what do you have to gain in relationship to that thing?
Yeah. I can't thank you enough for this.
Oh, this
my
is
God, I'm
fun.
excited. Is there anything else you want to say right now? Because
No, I think I'd like to say to young singers that just be curious, you know, go see movies. I mean, I went to see a movie last night it's called Cabin in the Woods. That's sort of
okay.
a thriller. But I thought it was going to be just about, you know, zombies and people jumping out. And it is about that, but it has this very interesting take on archetypes and the hero and it was completely different than I expected it. So,
Yeah.
you know, I was like, my mind started going to all these places.
Oh, sure.
Relationships between that movie and Orfeo and the hero's quest in Orfeo and the movie.
that's a wonderful point
Yeah.
out there. Everybody pay attention to that because we do a lot of movies, we do a lot of storytelling of other things in different ways, TV, even the stories that you tell on Facebook or the things that you put up on Facebook. Look at them and see if there's something from that you can take and think about the character that you're working on at the moment. I think that's a great suggestion.
I do want to say one thing, completely off the record.
Okay.
Not off the record, off this topic.
Yeah.
Facebook. Be very careful what you write on
Oh.
Facebook. That's your phase.
Yes.
You
yes.
and I have talked
We
about
have
it,
talked
about
about
even
that.
professional singers that write things on Facebook about the rehearsal process, or
Yes.
about things that are seemingly
Intimate. They're very intimate
even-
and personal.
yeah, but you never know how. You shouldn't discuss
No.
work on Facebook.
No,
I mean,
no,
say
no.
something like I wrote today, wishing my cast, you know, a good
Sure.
closing performance. That's fine, but you know, don't write things like, you know,
No.
oh, I got, you know, I twisted an ankle today in rehearsal because blah blah blah. That's,
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
not to be
No.
shared on Facebook.
That is both emotional and personal. And when you're thinking about singing, you need to think about business all the time.
Yeah.
So you need to stay there and not wander off into the other kinds of stories that are for your journal or something.
And one more, I'm saying this because it's happened to me many times, don't ask for letters of recommendation on Facebook. I've had people write
Oh
on
my
my
goodness.
wall, would you write a letter of recommendation? Or I've had somebody write, would you recommend a tenor for me? For
Oh,
you?
no.
I would never do that on
No.
Facebook. I mean,
No,
do it
no,
as a
no.
private message, but
Right.
not on my wall.
Right, exactly.
So-
So pay attention. Pay attention out there, okay? We want really great singers out there who are well-rounded, who understand the business aspects of this, who are willing to remain curious and flexible, that's really important, and who think before they act and think before they write something. So that's going to be it for this time. And I thank you, my dear.
Thank you so much. And thank you for writing the book. That's exactly it.
Oh,
You
good.
know, a book about business.
It is. It is.
Practical advice.
It is important. So,
Thank you.
thank you.